Hello and welcome to Learning Music with Pat. I decided to bring in today an unusual little recorder, and I'm going to show you the whole thing. Whoops. Okay, this is unusual. It's foreign. It comes from the Caribbean somewhere. I'm tempted to think that this is a Peruvian flute, but I can't prove it. My sister and one of her friends saw it in a mall in New Hampshire, and they decided they would get it for a Christmas present for me. And then they tried playing it and they couldn't get it to work. And then they felt embarrassed. And when they approached me about it, they said, "We got you a gift for Christmas, but I guess we'll give it to you now. It doesn't play." And I says, "Well, let me take a look at it." And so it's I think it's Peruvian, but as I say, I can't prove it. I want to turn it around so you can see the back side of it. It has a tone hole. It has all kinds of painting on it. Let me put it to the side a little bit. Just take a look at the butterflies, leaves, and flowers, especially on the lower part of the instrument as I circle around with it. They were so embarrassed, they said, "We really shouldn't give it to you because we're giving you an instrument that doesn't play." And I says, "Well, let me take a crack at it. Let's not just say it doesn't play." And I would even keep it if it didn't play. Good, this is great. Let me go around. Okay, before I play anything on it, this has the same shape of any recorder with that little curve in the back. On the top, right here, I mentioned last segment a little opening. I called it a crack, but it's a little opening that you actually blow in. It's just a very narrow space that you blow in, but that's the opening. If I turn it this way, you can see the block. And you can see the block is slightly different color. The whole instrument is wood, but I think they stained the block a little so you can see it. You can see it doesn't cover the whole back side of the instrument, but it covers a lot, and it goes up pretty much to the top. It doesn't completely go around the bottom. And most of them don't, of course, but this is the way that it looks. You can blow right into it. And look at the labium right there. So you got your opening to blow into, and you got your labium very, very close by. I mean, it's just a little bit. And you can see that labium. You can see right here, that's the lip. It kind of slants. If I put it like this, you can see the slant of the labium that goes into the instrument, and that's called the lip. And then this little squarish part, it looks black. Well, it looks black simply because the light can't get in there. But it's open, the air goes out there, and that's called the window of the labium. So you can see, now you can't see in the inside, but it would be blocked off in the inside, just like the other instruments that I showed you on the last segment. But this is a really, really good shot, Rick. This is great, because you can see what I've been trying to say. And the pictures that I've shown you, like in last segment, I don't know if I want to go over those pictures again, but you can see how it all fits together. Simply made. And then the bottom of it is basically, and I want to show you the decorations, that's the thumb hole in the back where you get octaves and so forth. And these are the decorations. There's a nice huge butterfly on the front. And then as you go down, you get more. These are little hearts and colors. And then as I go down further, you get leaves. Let me hold it up like this so you can see the bottom part of it. Isn't that pretty? They have all kinds of leaves. It's just a really, really nice looking instrument. And they thought so too when they bought it. And you can see all of the leaves and the bright colors. The reason I think it may be Peruvian is that it's typical of Peruvian instruments to have a lot of bright colors and bright designs. But I can't say for sure that's where it comes from, because they didn't know and they didn't ask. They bought it in a mall. Well, let me try it. They said, "You'll be disappointed it doesn't play." I said, "Okay, we'll give it a shot." It doesn't have a big range of notes, but the notes that it has are fine. In fact, when I took it home with my sister, she sat down at her portable organ, and I took this instrument, and we played Christmas carols together. And it was fine. It hit every note. It wasn't a problem at all. This is made out of bamboo. You need to be very careful of bamboo because it's easy to crack. And if I played it a lot, it probably would develop a crack in it, and then you wouldn't be able to play it. I would, of course, still keep it because it's a beautiful instrument. But it does play, and it plays well. And it plays in the key of D. I checked it all out when we took it home. It plays in the key of D. So it's a nice little instrument. Whenever I can pick up something, then I try to do that. Now, as you've seen the top of it, let me show you this here. This is going to be the song flute. I like this instrument quite a bit, quite well. And you can see by the glint on the back side that this is where well, it's not on the back side, it's on the front side. This is where the labium is, and the tone holes all in the front. The mouthpiece has that curve. Oh, good. And you can see that crack, like, if I twist it a little. You can see that crack where it's darker colored. It's all black, but it's darker colored. You just blow into it, and it has that same kind of fipple mouthpiece. And if I turn it this way, you can get enough reflection of the color so that you can see the labium, how it slants in there, and the black part on top being the window, the bottom part being the lip. And the tone holes, they stick up. They made these tone holes to stick up. I think it's just a design feature. It doesn't affect the way that it plays. It plays quite well. But we have other instruments, and just to show you, the sassoto has the same kind of arrangement on the top. It's a smaller mouthpiece. It's shaped a little bit different, but it has its similarities. This is in the key of C. I've used this a lot. And if I turn it this way, you can see the back side. Now, the back side is smaller in area than the other instruments. You can see the crack where you blow into it, and the fact that it does have a block. It looks a little whitish on the bottom. There is a reason for that. The reason for that, it didn't come like that. I have used this instrument so much, I've actually worn away some of the painting, some of the coloring of it. And so it's just something that you know, it's time for a change, but it still plays very, very well. And then if I want to take, for example, the penny whistle, the same thing applies. In the penny whistle, if I hold it just right, this is perfect. You can see the little edging. Now, this is good because you can see that crack, that little piece square, it's like a rectangle, that you blow into. You don't see a block. It's not designed for you to see that. It's just pure plastic. And as I turn it around, you don't see a block, but it's the same shape, and the internal apparatus is going to be the same. So there's your penny whistle. Now let's see. This little guy. Now the other instruments I showed you in the other segment were just you know, inexpensive, and they didn't play well. Well, this instrument is a little like, it's really inexpensive. I paid less than $2 for it. I paid like $1.98. And it plays well. It plays really well. You can see the labium very easily. There's just enough light so you can see that the little area that slants in, which is the lip, and the window on top. There's enough light for it because it is a light instrument. And then if I hold it this way, you can see the part where you actually blow into it. These instruments are similar. You know, there is such a thing as transference. And transference means the things that you learn on one instrument are somehow applicable for other instruments. So I'm going to play this a little. In the back of it, you don't have a tone hole. You do have two little areas where you put your thumb of each finger, your thumb of each hand. It's a place to put it, but it doesn't have a tone hole. Now that's very good, and it cost me less than $2. You know, so there's no reason why if you get an inexpensive instrument that's more or less like a toy, there's no reason why they can't be made to play. And this one here, I have actually done solos on it. It's so accurate in pitch. It's an E flat. It plays well in E flat, which is unusual for these instruments that are less expensive. They usually play, if they play at all, they usually play in the key of D or C or G. This plays in the key of E flat, and it can hold its own. It's a nice little instrument. It has that same kind of mouthpiece arrangement that the others have. So this is the characteristics of these inexpensive instruments that act like woodwinds. They usually have what's called the Fipple mouthpiece. The Fipple mouthpiece has a curve on it. On the back side, they have a block which goes in the inside and becomes part of the mouthpiece, and it blocks off the air, because if I just blew air into a tube, I'm not going to get a tone. What you're going to hear is air through a tube. But if I can block that air off and make the molecules move in a certain way and have them all go in one direction and have something vibrate at the same time, then I can create tones, and that's basically what the recorders do. But a lot of other instruments do the same thing. The tonette, the song flute, you know, the sassotos, the penny whistles, and even instruments that have like little discs in them, like the ocarinas. They all work on the same principle, and the melodicas also as well. So what I want to do now that you've seen that, let me just go through some note patterns here. And I want to play a piece that I wrote, because what I want you to start doing is to learn how to play certain songs in the fingerings and the notes that we have learned. So we'll go to this, to the charts right now, and I'll show you. I've shown you some things I've shown you before, but I'll show you new things as well. This is the recorder, and remember when we first started, I was showing you the note patterns B, A, G, F, E, D, and those are the main notes, and I will just go over that. Let me take this one, B, A, G, F, E, D. It's a straight shot. You start your B, 6 notes. Now a scale is only 8 notes, so you get most of the scale, and we concentrated on that. And this is a whole C scale, going from the lower C up to the mid, kind of like a mid-range C, and going back to the low C. The low C is the middle C if you were looking at a piano. Now I'm going to skip these two because we did this last time. I don't need to go over them again. Remember that I brought in that little flute kind of thing that I made so that you could see better what the fingerings are. And this would be B, A, G, F, E, D, or B, A, G, and these two would be the F, depending upon whether it's a Baroque instrument, and then E and D. Now, I brought in another little drawing. You have not seen this before. Here's a little drawing of a recorder, and I just kind of cut out the areas where the thumb hole and where the finger holes would be. This would be your B, this would be your A, but you can also play a C and a D with it, and then the G, F, E, and this would be the low D, but you could also play an F with it, and then this would be the low C. So I just cut those out, and I'm going to make a separate one for each note and bring it in as soon as I get a chance to do it. The mouthpiece, you can see the shape of it. The labium, you can see the shape of that, and the fact that it's open. Now, what we've gone on to for notes more recently, G, A, B, C, D, E, and I've mentioned the F and the G. So let me just demonstrate that. Then I want to do some playing. Here is the G right here. B, A, G. Remember, B, A, G, F, E, D. So this is a G, A, D, C, and for all of those notes, the thumb hole in the back is closed so that you can keep them in the lower register. When you get to the D, you take the thumb off the hole, and it's just this note. Look, Ma, practically no fingers, and that's the D. And then if you want to play an E, you close these like a low E, except now you half hole the back, and you can't see it when I do it, but you half hole it, you bring your thumb down. It's the same fingering as a low E. You put it down, and then you get your octave. And then you put the thumb hole, half hold it for the G. G, F, E. Just taking that thumb hole puts it up an octave. So if you just look at this, just take a look at the fingerings, don't pay any attention to this. G with a 3 down and a thumb hole. A with a 2 down and the thumb hole closed. B with 1 down and the thumb hole closed. When you get to the C, you use that second hole but not the first one, but you do have the thumb hole closed. When you get to the D, you keep the same note down, but you lift the thumb off the instrument so you have an open hole, and that gives you your D. Then when you go to the E, you play it like you would a low E, but you half hole it. That gives you the octave. The same for the F, and I put the second fingering for the F if it's a Baroque down here, and then the G. So G, now I'm going to play a song for you that I wrote, or it came to me, and I'm going to, because I want to get you playing. Let me skip this. There are certain charts I want to start keeping with me because I never know when I'm going to need them. Okay, this would be the song. Now, what are you going to learn from this song? Well, I have arpeggios in it. All of these are arpeggios. I have scales, accidentals, octaves. There are signs to read. You're reading the time signature, the key signature, and you're reading the music. So that's a lot. When you get into even simple songs, there's an awful lot that you can read. So let me play this. I'm not going to play it very fast at first, and then I'm going to play it faster maybe later on. We don't have a whole lot of time left. Now this is a waltz. How do you know that? It's because if you count it, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if I do this, so what are the signs to look for? We don't have much time. I may start with this next session. All right, 3/4 time. This is a key signature, 1 sharp, so it's in the key of G. This is a 2-beat rest, and this is the 1-beat rest. So together they make 3 beats. Now, why would I have in the song start off with 1 measure of rest where you're not playing anything? For a lot of conductors, they like to set the tempo. So I would say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and give them a sense of the tempo. And we would start off, and here's a measure that just kind of sets the tempo. Nobody's playing anything. 2 beats rest. This is a low D and it's held. This is a hold. This sign here is a cutoff. That means I hold it and then I stop it. This is a little breath mark. So I would be playing that one first note and hold it so it's longer, because I just want it that way in the beginning. So this I know I'm going to hold it. I stop it for just a fraction of a second, not very long, just a short cutoff. I take a breath and then we go on with the regular song. These are arpeggios. An arpeggio is like a chord, but you can't play a chord on a recorder or any other woodwind instrument or brass instruments either. You have to play one note at a time. So if I'm doing something like and those are really arpeggios, because if I could get an instrument in here, if I used my melodica or a keyboard, I could play all those notes together and have a nice chord. So I get down here, these two are held together. This is 3 beats, this is 2 beats. I hold it 5. Because I'm holding those 2 notes together, but I don't count 5. I count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then I take a little breath there. That's my breath note. It looks like a little bit of a comma. Play 1 note. That gives me my 3 beats. And here we go to a half note, a quarter note. This is an accidental. It's a G sharp. Why is it an accidental? Because it's not in the key signature. If it was in the key signature, I'd play it that way every time, but I don't play it that way every time. I play it 2 or 3 times sharp, and there's no need to put it in the key signature because I'm not doing it all the time. These are retards. So why do you say it makes the music nice to listen to when you get a phrase and you slow down and then you start up again. So here's your sharp, and here I start a retard down here, and I start it again. Half note, hold it, breath mark, just a little short cutoff, and I hold this one as well, and I'm doing the same thing, just to add a little more drama to the music. This R tempo means go back to the original speed, which I do, and then I go along and we have another retard, another hold, another place for you to cut off, another place to breathe, and an R tempo. When you get to the end of it, then you slow down and slow down, hold the last note, but you still have that one rest here. Why? Because it has to have 3 beats to a measure, because that's the way that I wrote it. So I don't want to cut it off at 2 and not add that extra beat, even though you're not playing it. It makes it mathematically correct. Well, I see we've run out of time, so I'm going to continue with this next time. Please join me then.